Welcome to Aging Insights. I'm Grace Egan, Executive Director of the New Jersey Foundation for Aging. Our mission is to promote policies and programs that enable seniors to live with independence and dignity in their communities. Aging Insights is produced by the New Jersey Foundation for Aging to provide information and resources to boomers, seniors, and caregivers. When the Foundation developed the Elder Economic Index, it was clear that housing costs are the biggest burden for seniors. The index factors utility costs into overall housing expenses. We know that more than 255,000 seniors who live alone or in elder couple households live in or on the edge of poverty. There are many public benefits programs that may assist seniors who deal with the daily question of choosing between prescriptions, food, heat, and utilities. Today we'll be looking at utility assistance. I'm joined by two well-informed experts, Jim Jacob, Executive Director of the New Jersey Shares Program, and Stephanie A. Brand, Director of the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank
You know,
you.
utilities is, I want to say, almost a universal need because we all want heat, we all want water, clean water, safe water. We all want to be somewhat cool when the summer heat hits. And so, in reality, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, it's a very important issue. So, Jim, New Jersey Shares does a lot of things. Can you describe the program for us and how it got started?
Absolutely. New Jersey Shares got started in 1998 with a coalition of individuals. So there were community-based organizations, advocates, the Rate Counsel's office, and the utility companies who thought that there should be a solution for moderate income households in the state, something that helped people who didn't qualify for federal or state programs that existed at the time. And so since our inception, we've been able to help 182,000 households in New Jersey. So the need is clearly there. And we've expanded our programs. We are a statewide organization. So we assist with energy, so electricity and natural gas with all the regulated utility companies. We have a brand new program in South Jersey, the Atlantic City Electric Helping Hands program, which is an additional program to help people in what's been a very troubled part of our state.
So when you say that, is it just all of South Jersey, or is it just consumers of Atlantic utility?
It's Atlantic City Electric residential customers, but it covers 8 counties in southern New Jersey. And so that's a new program. We also do the Verizon New Jersey Communications Lifeline program, which helps Lifeline, which keeps people connected. And we do 2 water programs.
Okay, so let's back up for a second.
Sure.
So the Lifeline program is usually about phone or not?
Yes, it's for landline phone service.
Okay.
And it helps people keep connected in the community, which is very important for low-income households. The 2 water programs, we do Suez Water in their territories in New Jersey and in some other states.
Where is Suez?
Suez is in North Jersey and also down in Toms River.
Oh, okay.
And we do New Jersey American Water's H2O assistance program, which provides both a grant and discounts to income-eligible households.
It's really interesting because not only do you serve low-income, or what we usually think of as low-income families, but you also are able to serve moderate-income families. So not to really throw out a lot of numbers, but what does that mean? I mean, how does that break down with your client population, or what are the higher incomes you can serve?
Well, the higher income is up to 400% of the federal poverty level. So for a 2-person household, that would be a monthly gross income of $5,413. So that's, New Jersey is a high-cost state.
Say that again.
So the maximum income for our energy assistance program would be, for a family of 2, be $5,413 a month.
A month, okay.
Right. So it allows moderate income people who are having a crisis, and a crisis can be that it's a medical crisis, a car broke down, there's some other problem in the family. Most of the people that we help with the New Jersey Shares Energy Program only come to us once. Then their problem gets solved. If you take people who've only come twice, and for a program that's been there for 20 years, it's more than 92% of the people have only been there twice.
And so what you're able to do for them is to help them have something turned on or to stop the shutoff? Or why don't you give an example?
Right. So what we can do is we can provide for a combination of electricity and gas. We can provide up to $1,200 in bill payment assistance that's paid directly to the utility on behalf of the client. This helps them to get their service restored if it's been turned off, or to have their service continued for 30 days, and if they still owe a balance beyond that amount, they can negotiate a payment plan with the utility companies, and the utility companies are all very generous, and they're working with us to be able to work with clients. They want to solve the problem the client household is having as well.
So I did get the impression when we talked about it that budget planning or budget billing is kind of important when you step in to provide assistance.
Well, it's one of the options that clients have is for a levelized payment plan, which makes it easier to determine what's going to happen in the summer and the winter. So it's a really good option. The utilities all offer that to clients. It's not a requirement of our program that they be on that, but we certainly do advocate for all of those programs. When someone applies, we also give them referrals to other programs that might be of assistance to them, and we try to help them understand what their situation is going to be like when they call the utility company back.
Sure, exactly. Do you have to participate in the mediation for bill budgeting, or is it something that you just encourage the person to do themselves?
No, we encourage the person to do that. The client, when they sign the application, gives us permission to advocate on their behalf, to contact the utility, to get the arrangement to continue their service, but not to act as an advocate beyond that.
And so I think you differentiated your service from federal programs. So how are you funded?
Well, we're funded because of the generosity of many corporations and foundations in New Jersey and many of our neighbors. The utility companies typically match what their customers give. So if someone is a New Jersey natural gas customer and they make a donation to New Jersey Shares and they indicate that to us, New Jersey Natural will match that, and we can use that money to help other clients.
So as a utility user, how would I know that I could make a donation to New Jersey Shares? All
of the utility companies provide information either on bills or bill inserts. Some of them have it electronically done. There's where there's electronic billing, people have been able to designate New Jersey Shares as a recipient of that benefit. And those monies are then dedicated to that particular utility's customers.
Oh, I see. So instead of a general pool, it goes, say, Jersey Central Power and Light or PSE&G clients.
Or South Jersey Gas or any of those. But then we also raise monies that are undesignated for any particular utility, and that can be used for any company that we work with.
So how does someone apply for the program?
Well, applying is really very easy.
Okay.
We have a web-based application, so if someone feels computer literate, they can apply themselves online. Otherwise, we have 274 intake partners around the state of New Jersey.
That is an amazing number. It really is.
They include community-based organizations, faith-based organizations, townships, some state government offices, one of the county welfare offices, as well as legislative offices, so assembly offices and state senate offices. It gives persons in the state an opportunity to go someplace where they feel comfortable in applying. We wanted to do that, recognizing that transportation is sometimes difficult.
Right, exactly.
And that sometimes people are a little embarrassed, and they shouldn't be, because they've helped many other people throughout their lives, but sometimes they're a little embarrassed. And so by having both legislative offices, community-based organizations, it gives them a choice of where they'd like to go.
And I think you sort of touched on the fact that your funding is different than federal funding. So is there another source to help people with your utility bills in New Jersey?
Well, there is. New Jersey has a wonderful program that was instituted several years ago, the Universal Service Fund, which helps low-income people below 175% of poverty get a discount on their bill. It reduces their energy burden to 6% of their income, which makes it more similar to what a moderate income household or a higher income household would experience, rather than what could be 30% of their income if it wasn't for that. So it can provide up to $1,500, up to $1,800 a year, $150 a month as a discount on bills. It's a wonderful program. It's really the premier program that I'm aware of in the United States for a percentage of income program.
And the application is opened all year? The
application for Universal Service is open all year round. It is the same application that's used for the Federal Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, the LIHEAP program, which is open now until May 31st. The state's extended it for another month. And so someone can benefit from both programs if they're income eligible.
And is the place to apply for those programs with the DCA, or is it at any of your sites?
It's, well, strangely, it's a combination. It's
Okay.
DCA has their own sites, but some of those sites are also New Jersey Share sites.
Okay.
But if someone wants to find out where they can apply for the LIHEAP or Universal Service Program, they can call 1-800-510-3102.
And is that your number, or is
No,
that DCA?
that is the DCA
Okay.
information line, and they can tell them all the things that they would need to do to bring that application in and submit it. But it is, Universal Service is open year-round, so that's a real benefit for folks.
It does definitely sound like it. And the landline service that you mentioned for seniors, and somebody would apply through New Jersey Shares for that
That's correct.
support?
That's correct. And whether they wanted to know about our energy programs, the Atlantic City Helping Hands, the Verizon Communications Lifeline program, or the water programs, they could call us at 1-866-657-4273 or visit our website at www.njshares.org.
There really is a lot of support, which I think is beneficial for people to know about, because when you get that big bill or you find yourself in arrears because you haven't been able to keep up with it, the idea of knowing that you can consider LIHEAP, the federal program, which must serve an awful lot of residents in New Jersey.
It does. More than 263,000 households were served in fiscal year 2016. And of that, 42% were seniors.
It's a very significant number.
Right. The program's targeted towards the most vulnerable population, and so New Jersey does a good job of serving that population.
And those are federal dollars.
Those are federal dollars.
Set up in the federal budget. So I think that's important to know. It's a nice complementary system that you seem to have, with the utilities providing dollars to you, as well as people knowing that the federal dollars are there too if they need them. So it's, we really have touched on where you get your dollars, which is important. And I didn't know, as a utility user, that I can make a donation to New Jersey Share. So I think that's kind of interesting too for our viewers to know that there's such a significant program. And you and Stephanie work together frequently?
We do, yes.
Yeah, and so I think it's very nice that you're here. The Rate Council does something very different.
Yes.
And so I want you to explain that, because I think of it, your wonderful book says Consumer Assistant Handbook, but at the same time, the individual consumer is not your client per se?
We represent all consumers. We
Okay.
represent residential consumers, business consumers, industrial consumers even. But what we do is we represent them as a whole. The theory in creating our office, we're a state government agency, but the theory was that no single consumer is going to have the wherewithal to take on the utilities. So we're there to be the advocate for consumers in all matters regarding the utilities, and we deal with everything. It's electricity, gas, water, wastewater, telephone, cable. So we deal with on sort of the 20,000 feet level. But we do provide assistance when people call us. We will direct them to Jim, we will direct them to other places where they can find assistance. And we also put out our Consumer Assistance Handbook.
It's a nice, very helpful.
Thank you. We worked very hard on it, and it is designed to try to give you answers maybe without having to call anybody. There's just a lot of useful information in here about how to read your bill, what financial assistance is available, what to do if you have a dispute with your utility, how to file a complaint if you need to, also how to save energy, how to save water, things like that.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and it really is, as you say, well, I will say it's user-friendly. You can go through the different topics, and the tips are there. So I guess I'm curious. So you work with all the utility programs?
Yes, we do.
In the book. Wastewater is not something Jim and I talked about so much. We talked about safe water.
Wastewater is sewer. And a lot of people, they pay for their water and wastewater together, but other people pay for them separately. A lot of that is municipal, but some of that is by private companies. We don't deal with the municipal ones are not regulated by the Board of Public Utilities. So we don't deal with them directly, but we do deal with it when it's a private utility.
So the Board of Public Utilities is different? Can you just explain
Yes,
the
the
difference?
Board of Public Utilities is the regulatory agency. They're the ones who develop the regulations. They decide the cases. We serve as an advocate in cases before the Board of Public Utilities on behalf of customers.
So you kind of inform them what the impact might be on their regulations?
Yes, and we advocate for customers.
Okay. You know, I still get calls. Do I want to change my my electricity provider?
Yes.
And you know, so the mystery of the third party, how does that really work?
So back in 1999, New Jersey deregulated the generation portion of electricity.
Meaning who makes it?
Yeah, it's the power plants.
All right.
Okay. But and then the federal government does the transmission portion, which brings the electricity from the power plant to the local area. But then there's the distribution system, which is what brings it from the substation to your house. And that is still state regulated. And but what customers can do is shop just for the generation portion. It doesn't mean that you're not still served by PSE&G or JCP&L. It just means that on your bill, you will see something called the price to compare, and that is the generation price on your bill. And we explain this all in the book.
In the book, yeah.
And so third-party suppliers can come in and they can provide you with electricity, the generation portion, at a lower price, potentially. It's a free market. But what a consumer has to do is be very careful. First of all, I want to say that the third-party suppliers' calls are still governed by one call, which the list you can get on, not one call, I'm sorry.
Do not call?
Do not call,
Do not
yes.
call.
One call is for digging, but the do not call list, which if you're on the do not call list and you're getting all those calls, they're not supposed to be calling you. You should go ahead and call Consumer Affairs and you can remedy that. But if you want the calls and if you take the calls, there's a lot of important questions to ask, whether the rate is fixed or variable, how long does it last, what happens if you want to cancel. There are all kinds of questions that we have, again, a list in the book. And you have to be very careful. What we're finding is that if you're willing to stay on top of it, you might save a little money. But if you can't stay on top of it, it's fraught with some danger. So you do need to be very careful. Demand things in writing. Get their proposals in writing, and don't sign anything unless you know what you're signing up for.
Right. I think that's very interesting. And it seems to me that even if you make that change, so Jersey Central Power and Light would have to come in and fix my line if I had a problem. It wouldn't be the third-party supplier, would it?
No. The distribution system is still under the utility that you've always dealt with, JCP&L, PS.
You see how confusing this could be?
It is. It's very confusing.
Right.
We try to simplify it a little bit in the book for people who really want to understand it.
The book's good. It's
Thank
just
you.
that when we get the calls,
but you know what? That's what we're here for.
Right.
We do understand it. We get this stuff, and that's why we're here to advocate for customers. And we get calls all the time from customers who are completely perplexed, and we're able to sometimes answer their questions or at least point them in the right direction.
Because your goal is really, if I understand reading in your book, is to make utilities affordable and, reliable for New Jersey residents of all ages.
Right. That's right.
It sounds like a big job that you have to do to keep things affordable and reliable.
It is, and the utilities, we have many, many filings. We're a very small office. We only have about 30 people, but it is a lot. And we want to make sure that the system is reliable so that everybody, when you turn the switch on, the light comes on. But we also need to make sure it's affordable. The utilities love to spend money because they earn money on what they spend, and it's our job to make sure that they're only spending on what they really need to spend money on.
And telephone service is another costly service that we all seem to rely on and need. So what's your role in maintaining affordable basic telephone service?
So we are involved in a lot of cases right now, especially regarding telephone, because the communications world is changing very much. You know, if you watch television at night, you'd think, oh, it's very competitive. But the fact is that a lot of people want still their basic service. They just want a plain old telephone.
Right.
And there isn't competition for those people's business. Very few companies, it's really only Verizon and CenturyLink, provide that in the state without, bundles, without the triple play, the double play. Just the plain old telephone service.
You mean like on the wall? landline.
Well, it could be on the wall, on the table,
is that
but it's
what you
a
mean?
copper wire.
Okay.
What we think of as it's literally called plain old telephone service.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
Okay.
that is the technical term. But somebody who just wants to be able to, call their kids, call the pizza place down around the corner. Those people don't have a lot of options, especially in certain parts of the state where you don't have the density of population, so the cable companies and the Verizon, those guys are not fighting over you. And those tend to be the same parts of the state that don't necessarily have great cell phone service. So there are people, there's a big movement down in South Jersey to try to improve the telephone service. But it is true that the telephone is changing. It's not going to be over a copper wire much longer. And we want to make sure that some services that are right now only available through a copper wire, like certain medical equipment, certain alarm systems, that there will be a transition that's smooth and that doesn't frighten people. And in New Jersey, we had so many people who were just out of electricity after Hurricane Sandy and Irene. And they know that the new types of phones, the cable, all of those things, you lose telephone service when you lose electricity, and that was never the case before.
True.
And that's a big issue for a lot of people. So what we are trying to do is work, with the federal government and the state government to advocate for consumers to make sure that the transition is smooth and to make sure everyone has access to the services they're looking for.
So is that also a technology issue?
It is.
So that the Verizon or Comcast, or we have Apple and all these other. Is that something that they also need to be working on to make sure that you can? How do you?
Well,
that's a different piece. Isn't
the
it?
Apple TV and things like that. That's really more cable.
Oh, I was thinking of phone.
Right, but you can get phone over your cable system, right? And you can
true.
get phone over your computer. And so what's happening is everything is merging, everything is overlapping, and those are the people who have all of those things and are have 20 different gadgets are the ones that are actually there is competition for their business. But the people who just want a plain old telephone, there's no competition for their business, and the people who live in rural areas, they don't necessarily get all of it costs more to wire for them. So, in today's world, broadband is not a luxury. It's something your kids need to go to school. It's something that everybody needs to businesses need to compete in the 21st century. So we advocate to try to make sure that we have universal broadband and that the technology doesn't leave portions of our populace behind.
I do think it's a problem. I will say that I did think the handbook was very good, and the tip sheets. Is there something that you feel seniors in particular or their caregivers might want to reference in the book? Besides the whole book.
Well, I think the financial assistance programs that Jim talked about, they're discussed in here. I would also say that understanding your gas bill and understanding your electric bill is an important factor. You can look at your bill and see, am I using more than I did last year?
True.
Should I find ways to conserve? There are tips for conservation here. Our job is to try to keep people from needing Jim's services, right?
Right.
So there are ways in here that things they can do that would help them so that they can afford their bills, because if you conserve, then your bills are lower.
Right. So utilities are not just a winter issue anymore. When I first started the conversation, we were talking about heat and light and different things like that. But do you see an urgent need from your clients, Jim, that call you?
Well, we do. It's a year-round situation, particularly
with cooling.
Cooling in the summer months for some folks, depending on where they live and how their houses are situated, their apartments. It can be very hot if you've got a sealed-up apartment. It can be very dangerous, and so we don't want that. We want to be able to provide that assistance to help someone to pay that bill to get them through the summer months. Winter bills everyone kind of expects, but we tend to forget that. And New Jersey serves a large population of folks who are over 50. 49% of the people that we help are over 50.
Right.
And many of those are employed and they have pensions, but they just can't make it through if it's particularly hot, humid summer. And New Jersey can sometimes have those.
Yes.
It becomes a real burden for folks, and so we see it as a year-round thing. We don't. Years ago, I think assistance program saw a winter cap, and then it was relatively lighter. But again, the affordability issue that Stephanie works so hard on creates a situation where there's a burden for people year-round.
Right, and the shut-off, prevention of shut-offs does end in the spring, but as you said, the need continues throughout the year.
Right, so the winter termination program ends on March 15th.
Okay.
That program starts
Winter
November.
termination, what is it called?
The winter
termination moratorium.
Oh, okay.
Right. The
Thank you.
program starts November 15th and runs through March 15th, and people who are in certain low-income programs are exempt from termination. And anyone who calls the Board of Public Utilities or the utilities themselves and says, I can't pay for circumstances beyond my control, they're protected until March 15th. However, March 16th,
they're not protected.
they're not protected.
Which is why this program is so important. So I really appreciate you both being here, because I think our viewers will really appreciate all the tips you've given them. We will put a reference for the booklet as Stephanie's talking about it, and so it's great. So again, it's just really, I think, very helpful topic. Aging Insights is really produced by the New Jersey Foundation for Aging to do just what we did today, to talk about programs that can help people. If you've missed any portion of this program, you may go to YouTube to the New Jersey Foundation for Aging channel, or to see this show or any other of our other shows. And you can give us feedback by going to our website, or you can sponsor future Aging Insight shows. And our website is www.newjerseyfoundationforaging.org. You can also call our office, just in case you want to give us a comment or two, at 609-421-0206. We want to remind you to find out about senior services in your area. Please contact your county office on aging. You will see a listing of their numbers on our website, or you may call the state hotline number, which is 877-222-3737. Thank you for watching this episode of Aging Insights. And remember, aging is everyone's business.